What's up, guys? So not recently, like a few months ago, I watched a video by someone called Zan Perrion. He's like the more masculine, romantic, socially savvy, larger version of Johnny Depp. And by larger, I mean, muscular, slightly bigger. And long story short, he said this one thing that stuck with me for months, if not, I think I saw it like a year ago, so for a full year. And this was something that was again brought up again when I was talking to someone today. And she said that she was reading this book. It's the third book in the Game of Thrones series. And long story short, she remarked on how amazing it is to think about how there's all this rape and pillaging and incest and all this stuff. And for us to be alive right now, we are the children of the survivors of all of this. We are children of champions. That's how she phrased it. We are literally the sons and daughters of champions. And it just reminded me once again of that quote by Zan Perrion that he made in one of his speeches. So he goes around the world and he gives speeches for free. He doesn't get paid off of them. He somehow makes a living. He could get paid a lot from these speeches, but for whatever reason, he has chosen to just live a very money-free lifestyle. And at the same time, he's not like a hippie. He dresses really well. If you guys have time, go ahead and check out his material. You can search it up on YouTube. But basically, he gave a speech to a large group of people, and they were all guys that pretty much sucked with women. And they were scared. They obviously were scared of rejection. They obviously would act like their arm got cut off if they got rejected. And so, long story short, he made a statement that really stuck with me, and it went like this. Your forefathers, your ancestors, were on the battlefield, and they fought and killed, and some of them died. But for you to be here now, they were the ones that survived and left offspring. The ones that didn't survive didn't leave offspring. So you are the sons, you are the descendants of the champions, of the survivors of many, many years. And if you look at how large our civilization, our species is, how long ago it's been, it's hundreds of thousands of years old. And that's room for thousands of generations. And in almost every of these generations, you've got freaking people who died from diseases. You've got people who were poisoned to death, who were backstabbed, who got killed in wars, who literally died from all sorts of causes. And for you to be alive right now, you are the descendants of champions. You're the descendants of the survivors, those who didn't die in the war, those who were smart enough to have enough food when there was a famine. You are the descendants of those who were smart enough to have the money or the intellect or the skill to make a living, while those who couldn't in times of poverty died. And so at the end of the day, philosophically, although every living organism on our earth seems to have the sole purpose of survival and reproduction, for us, we as living people right now are alive because of all that stuff. And so for you to be scared of rejection or something silly, something trivial, like, oh, someone was mean to you, or someone treated you wrong at work, or someone disrespected you, your ancestors, your forefathers had much more pressing matters on their hands. They died, they fought in wars, they killed, they starved to death. they follow people over resources, and they worked hard to make a living in times of extreme poverty, and they survived diseases. And so you guys are the children of a selection process of thousands upon thousands of years of champions for the human species. Now, some people might be like, okay, well, that's true and all, but we're still being selected even in this generation. So maybe it's just time for me to lose out. It's time for me to freaking lose out because I can't find a boyfriend or girlfriend, and literally it's time for my failure to select others on, and I won't be able to survive and reproduce. First off, the philosophical purpose of survival and reproduction in itself, it's like, sure, every living organism in the world seems to have that purpose ultimately, but we don't know why. And it's not like you get a prize if you survive and reproduce with someone. Not at all. And again, it varies slightly with different species. Some males, their real goal is to survive and reproduce with every organism, or as many organisms as they can, and thus produce the largest amount of offspring. It's more than just simple survival and reproduction with one. But ultimately, like, first off, the philosophical purpose of it, like, it's not like it really matters, because it's not like you get a prize or a thumbs up or you win the lottery if you survive and reproduce. Second off, as a human species, it's different to the point where, you know, you're probably still gonna survive and reproduce, but it may not be with the person you truly want to. Maybe some people settle. Some people will settle, and that's fine for them. But for others, like, if you are not willing to settle down with someone who disrespects you or doesn't really excite you that much, or is just there and only there because you don't have options, it may be better to realize, hey, I can do better. I'm the descendant of champions. I've got thousands of years of selection in my bones, and maybe if I try a little harder, I can do something out of it. And unfortunately, because of how it works, you know, we still are, in fact, being selected today. So all those selection pressures that cause some people to survive and pass on their genes to their offspring for thousands of years, that's still happening today, just in different ways, in milder ways, in loud forms. And so ultimately, I think the big life lesson is stop worrying or dramatizing or caring so much about trivial things, and realize that your forefathers did a lot more, and you can do a lot more. And also stop worrying about the fact that, hey, something bad happened to me, because it's not really that bad. And finally, is to realize that, okay, maybe I'm not as crappy as I think, and maybe I do have a lot of good qualities locked up inside me. I have a lot of potential that I can unleash, and therefore you can go out there and maybe, in even ways outside of dating, like, you can make people's day better. You can be a better person. You can achieve more in your life, whether it's starting a movement and starting a charity, or creating a business that could help out our economy. Like, there's a variety of things. Maybe it's to save the natural environment and preserve other species. There's a variety of things. But ultimately, I think the whole point of this is that yeah, we're still going to be selected for, and even in this generation, you know, there's going to be people who fail that test of being able to survive and reproduce. But it's not like you lose out on much. It's not like you get like a freaking prize if you do it. But you are, in fact, the descendant of champions. And so, long story short, I really think that you guys should make the most of that and just not give up so easily.